hoping for, like 80% of that. I think that would still make a very excellent CVZ.
No question. Well, let's intro both of our players here, spawning. In the bottom left-hand side in the blue, representing Brave Star Gaming, it's our Canadian Zerg player. Her name is Scarlett.
In the top right, as the red Zerg, he is Silky.
It's nice to see Scarlett not in a ZVP because her clan name is just a little too on the nose sometimes when she does face a big glaive to depth push.
Yeah, it does seem to be just a, yeah, hit me with adepts, please. You know, people bullseye on her back. So it's, well, Scarlett's not usually one to not talk about things that frustrate her, though. So anyone who plays against her in these tournaments has probably talked at length about the matchup and what she finds frustrating.
Yeah, I'm sure she doesn't mind that much. Just a fun little clan name. I know there's a long storied history of Korean clan names that are always a little bit fun, a little cheeky. Good to see that Scarlett's carrying on that tradition. Both players starting with a hatch gas pool build, very conservative openings here on both sides. And it looks like, again, we're going to have to get into sort of this late game, or this early late game, whatever it's called, once the players get some of their builds down to really see what they're going for. But right now, everybody just content to macro. Now, I think Scarlett's probably the favorite here. Have you seen Silky play a lot, Zombie Grub? Do you know anything about Silky's play style that might be helpful for us as we get ready to watch this game?
Yeah, he's very standard, I would say. Macro-oriented, improves little bit by bit just by playing some mostly standard stuff, which doesn't make him necessarily that lethal in tournaments. You know, we talk about a Bly or Haas being kind of lethal. Like, oh, I think I win against him, but like, what if? No, Silky's not like that, but he has steadily grown. He's always been a very strong Zerg. It just is, you know, the NA region has really had to fight back against a lot of criticisms against it. Being just the Scarlett and Neeb, you know, sometimes special region, right? Astray has kind of changed that up a little bit, of course, but Silky has been there for the last like 2 or 3 years being like, well, hey guys, like, what about me? You know, what about me? What about Future? And unfortunately, people just go, well, we don't care about you because Scarlett's playing. So that's still the position he kind of finds himself in. But if Silky wins, it would definitely do a lot to his, I guess his name, his clout. And I absolutely think that he can win. Like, don't underestimate him at all. And I know Scarlett isn't, as that's a lot of what they were discussing, as well as inevitably when it comes to Zergs talking about StarCraft 2 and balance, I guess they got to talk about CVP a little bit. So
I'm sure I have no idea what you're talking about at all, Zombie Crub. Never heard of it. Well, big change already in the build orders here. It looks like Silky opening up with that Baneling Nest, whereas Scarlett dropping the Evo Chamber down, going to skip the Baneling Nest altogether and possibly go straight up into Roaches here. Looks like Scarlett's still just on 1 gas and only 1 for Silky as both players grab a 3rd base. Would it make sense for Scarlett to go speed Roaches here?
I don't know about that. I mean, if she's going to go for the, like, skip Baneling right into Roaches, the Roach one would already be on the way, wouldn't it? I mean, she could be doing it, but just, like, the greediest way you would usually see. Yeah, just a little bit greedier. So, skipping the Baneling Nest, it is going to, you know, the 150-100 resources no longer have to be put into it. She still gets the jumpstart on the +1 ahead of Silky. And Silky's going to be like, oh, I'm going to Baneling Nest and didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, and that'll put Scarlett's upgrade slightly ahead as well. We see that Evo Chamber just finishing up for Silky, and +1 missile attacks, of course, starts right away. If you're in a Roach versus Roach war and you don't both have +1, you don't have both have even upgrades, it's not going to go in your favor at all. So definitely important that both players get those upgrades evened up. But the big difference right now is that this could be a nice screen snipe, actually. Oh, man, no transfuse available for Scarlett there. Good pick by Silky. The big difference, though, I was going to say is that Scarlett's lair tech considerably ahead of Silky's now.
Right, yeah. I mean, skipping the Baneling Nest could have really backfired if Silky had actually made like 16 lings and then you had 2 Banelings morphing off to the right side, as we see a kind of classic attack in ZVZB. That could have been tough to deal with. But to be honest, it's been a while since I've seen that specific attack. It seems like a lot of Zerg players are kind of just going, we're not going to play that thing, right? And they're going, nah, I'm not going to play that thing. Okay, then let's go on. So yeah, they still end up getting the defensive safety Baneling Nest, but often at, you know, because they're deceiving their, oh lordy. That was great.
I'll do it.
I was going to say often deceiving their opponent is like, oh, I'm totally going Banelings. Just kidding. I'm not. Just kidding. It's an all-in. or just not getting it at all. In this case, Scarlett didn't get it at all, got a bit faster without lair, got your +1, but actually is going to be going into Aspire anyways, so still a bit of deception.
Interesting, interesting. Now, Zombie Grub, do you cancel Roach speed? Do you cancel +1 missile attack? Surely she lets missile attacks finish, but do you cancel Roach speed as sort of a fake? Is there a chance, can Silky get into these lings? Oh man, that'd be a huge scout.
That'd be actually fantastic, and I think he is going to get in there, see the fire. Oh, just barely stopped by a good ling, I guess, micro there, and that's pretty important. So, yeah, you don't stop Roach speed. Like, a lot of the Zergs play around Spires, is like going into Spire and then just immediately going back into Roaches. A lot what we saw from the Raynor in the Serral series.
Right.
So that Raynor's game 5, you kind of had to awkwardly like go, wait, no, I want to go Mass Muta, I guess. And I ended up working for him, right? But now we see a lot of this just like 6 Muta into Mass Roach. Still, scouting, it's really important. And then even getting a follow-up scout to confirm, okay, it is going back into Roaches. Very, very important. Silky is going to be happy to find that. And I don't think he's really set up to do any attack beforehand. So he could add on a Hydralisk Den, or just simply enough Spore Crawlers and Queens to handle the initial mutas. Well, 9 is actually a decent amount.
Yeah, 9 is a decent amount, and that Hydralisk Den not being used yet. I wonder if Silky's trying to play the double bluff, like, okay, I've scouted you. It's unlikely you're going to go for a lot of Mutalisks because, of course, obviously I know about him, so he must be expecting me to be ready for him. He's getting some Spores down, but no Hydras down right now, and the Queen count only at 4 for Silky. Even though those Spores are down, this is still an opportunity for Scarlett to get in and maybe do a little bit of damage here with these 9 Mutalisks that are now on the field.
I think Silky is basically saying, I don't think you're going to make that many, and I'm going to only defend as much as I need to, because I know you're going to be going into Roaches again, and he's kind of right about that. 9 mutas is just like, I mean, it was 3 more than I was anticipating. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it does help a little bit more in the snowball effect against just pure Queen defense. But Silky, as soon as he realized, oh wait, there's a little bit more than I thought, he actually built 2, maybe 3 additional Spore Crawlers to cover any gaps. So he is still getting, 3 more Queens, so that's going to give him a total of 10, which isn't exactly the most ideal unit against the growing Roach count of Scarlett. But if Silky could actually get some Lurkers produced, then he would feel a lot more confident about this upcoming attack, because I think he knows about it, but I'm not sure he's actually timing this out well. Like, I think his Lurkers might be a little bit too late here.
Yeah, they definitely might be. Just to circle back really quickly, you said 10 Queens, not the ideal unit. I don't know if I've told you this story before, ZG, but there's a Korean clan whose clan tag is Korean for free Hydralisks, which is a complaint about how good Queens are. So maybe Silky's reading a little bit into that. But Scarlett now engaging on the 4th base, and they're going to be able to pop down this Spore Crawler right away. And this 4th base for Silky can bend over and kiss itself goodbye. It's not going to last for a moment here. Silky now pressed up against the 3rd. Going to try and go for the high ground concave here, but this is going to be a big fight for Scarlett.
Yeah, this is I mean, it's a bit scary, I guess, because Silky can't quite, or sorry, Scarlett can't quite see if Silky has Lurkers producing, or maybe there's like 20 Roaches about to pop. But this is a very good armor supply lead, and the Lurker is only just now on the way. Maybe she could have actually just run up that ramp. Running up this ramp's going to be a little more complicated. It's even more of a choke, but she really wants to get that Roach horn. She's actually going to let Silky live. I mean, as in she's not going to try and over-eagerly end the game. She's still definitely ahead killing that 4th base, but I still kind of figured if she would have won if she had just pushed in. Now it's a bit different.
Yeah, Silky's just had a little bit of extra time now. Luckily, already rebuilding that Roach Horn. So on top of that, all the Queens up front, though, those are all going to get taken down now. And where are Scarlett's Mutalisks? She still has 8 mutas on the map. If the Queen count gets popped down significantly here, those mutas could be quite valuable. Continuing to harass. Right now, it looks like they're just going to try and pick down some of the health of these Roaches, as Silky goes for a very, very moderate, very mild counter punch.
Just enough to send Scarlett back home with the mutas, maybe even a couple more Roaches, and a little bit more breathing room for a guy who still isn't on a whole lot of Lurkers. I mean, if Scarlett was really feeling feisty, if she had an Overseer, she could even try, like, tearing those Lurkers down, even from the low ground. But not feeling that type of game, she's going to go for the safer call and just expand, get further ahead with technology and economy, and still control the low ground, because until these Lurkers actually have burrow speed, they can't really engage onto an army that well.
Yeah, and Scarlett's doing a really nice job keeping the pressure on here, because Silky's only on 3 bases, right? The creep spread over to the top outside 12 o'clock base is decent, but that base still hasn't been taken, and Scarlett's 5th base just finishing up, as is her Hive Tech. So Scarlett ahead by just about any measure of this game. Army supply, worker count, base count, really everything just going in her favor right now, and I really love that she's keeping this pressure on.
Yeah, Silky's going to try and get that high ground expansion up, which is probably the best bet, but it's also going to be denied, at least momentarily. First, the Pile's trying to hit the Lurkers. Ooh, barely doesn't kill one. Barely not. And Silky knows that the next phase here, if Scarlett's not going to kill him with his Pure Roach Ravager, she's also going into Lurkers, which means that she's also getting onto Vipers. And Vipers would be a very difficult thing for Silky to tackle right now. Without your own Vipers, basically. Vipers are the count of the Vipers.
Absolutely. One of the biggest differences we can see right now is that Scarlett's on, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 gases, and a 9th high-yield gas as well. And that's really paying off for her. She begins to tech up because Silky's gas bank is so low right now. Trying to make some Hydras, trying to get up to hive tech, but really, with only 6 low-yield or normal-yield gases taken for Silky, it's going to be difficult to power up here. And even though Scarlett's taking fights with half her army here, she's still doing a really great job of splitting between this army and that attack at the 12 o'clock where she's canceled that base yet again.
Yeah, another Lurker goes down as well. Silky's trying to break out one way or another and might even use this increasing mineral bank to go into a double expand. I wouldn't mind that if he could, but still not ideal. As you were pointing out, the gas was definitely one of the more important things to talk about. Silky, great, you have 2,000 minerals in the bank, but how about that gas? How are you going to afford the amount of Lurkers you need, plus their upgrades, plus the Vipers? I guess by taking as few fights as possible. So he has managed to get to 15 Lurkers. Still working on that hive tech, but as is Scarlett. She actually does not have any Vipers out yet, and only 9 Lurkers herself.
The big difference is that Scarlett already has that Seismic Spines upgrade and is already working on Adaptive Talents. Silky has neither, which means the upgrades for Scarlett going to be way in favor. Her Lurker's going to be so much more terrifying, despite being a little bit late to the party here. And Silky taking a really mediocre engagement, eating a lot of Lurker shots slowly over time here. Scarlett really just showing him what's what here, and the Lurkers for Silky not microing away here. Huge mistake, Snobby Grub.
I think he was distracted for a fair bit by a high ground defense against Scarlett's remaining roaches, so I think he also even lost some Lurkers up to that high ground. Scarlett is winning even without necessarily the Vipers being included, but now we also have Vipers on the way, Tunneling Claws as well, because she's rich and getting what she wants. If you finally throw away these mutas, sure, why not, but engagement's still going to go well for her. Taking down the fourth base once again is not something that Silky can really recover from. He needed this gas, and oh my gosh, look at all those bird roaches headed right into the... Oh no, just kidding, no they're not.
Ooh.
No they're not. Okay, well that was a good Lurker defense there.
Scarlett trying to be cute there, she will pay the price, but I don't really think it matters, CG. She's got twice the army supply of her opponent. The army value is almost twice that of her opponent as well. Even though the Lurker count's slightly in Silky's favor here, Scarlett adding on 5 Vipers right now to Silky's 0, and that's going to be the biggest difference. Blinding Clouds and those yoinky harpoons, such a big boon in a ZVZ.
Pretty good units, man. Scarlett's also going to have the superior upgrades with 3-2 finishing up, as Silky only works on his +3. Still working on burrow speed, too. So he's having a really difficult time repositioning his Lurkers. He got up to a decent count. He's up at 15 at one point, now back down to 7, and really can't afford to make any more. So Scarlett is slowly but surely encroaching. And as Silky tries desperately to do some form of harassment, it is easily cleaned up. And now all focus is back on his side of the map.
You know, Silky has just lost so many units to these Lurkers time and time again, and I'm not sure why, Zombie Grub. He keeps pushing into the Lurkers and leaving units there, not microing back really effectively at all. Scarlett just seems to be getting free kills with those Lurkers, whereas we generally see more experienced players dipping and dodging and ducking and diving around the Lurkers a little bit more often. But again, we see Silky moving in a little bit, eating a lot of Lurker shots, and then moving back out. He has lost so many units to Lurkers right now, and I'm not sure why he keeps trading like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple different things happening, but it's not like it's a lot happening. So
right.
I gotta figure that he keeps on like hold positioning his army, but then he moves it in some form, like same hotkeys, a different group or something like that, and then gets unheld position. Something along those lines. I feel like it's kind of the same effect you see when the Marines just kind of run into tanks that are siege, and then you go, "Why Marines? I held you in hold position." But that does happen. Silky really believing in the high ground turtle defense of Lurkers, but I think it really was just the amount of Vipers that was going to cement the victory, if not just the overwhelming numbers. So has to tap out. That wasn't a very good game for him for the last like 6 minutes, basically. As soon as Scarlett's overwhelming roach numbers hit when Silky was only at like 130, 140 supply, no Lurkers, that's actually usually just game over. And it just took a very long time to actually end the game.
Yeah, very slow ending to the game, but eventually Silky did bleed out, and Scarlett took a great victory there. Of course, I think choking out your opponent is one of the best ways to win a ZVZ. If you can deny that fourth base, as Scarlett did over and over and over again, then there's just nothing you can do. If you Scarlett, I think at the end of the game was on 37,000 bases, I think, and Silky was on 3. So that's a difference of about 36,997 bases. So Scarlett really just with a huge economic advantage and no chance really for Silky to come back, no matter how good his defense was. Scarlett could have remaxed instantaneously.
Yeah. I think what's really important, just to like highlight how good Scarlett played that, was that she also made sure to never let the lurker count really get that insane. At one point, it went up to 15, which is actually pretty good. Like that's the amount of that maybe you have 7 in one place, 7 in another, boom, you're set to go on 3-4 bases. But she was almost always cursive biling down a couple or grabbing them on the retreat or the move forward, so that it wasn't ever truly comfortable for Silky. His gas bank could never actually accrue and he could never quite push out. So Scarlett did keep a handle on him, because it's the type of composition that Silky, I'm sure, has come back from games before with, but Scarlett didn't let that happen. And I think first and foremost, just going to make sure not to take the amount of damage that he did with that roach push. So moving on to Ice and Chrome, I'm sure that's going to be the first thing he's thinking of. Don't take that damage and then move on to a later game that's actually more even. So I think Silky would actually show us a pretty good late game.
I sure hope so. That'd be fantastic. Well, let's intro our players here on Ice and Chrome LE spawning. In that top right-hand position in the blue, representing Brave Star Gaming and Canada, it is Scarlett.
In the bottom left, as the red Zerg for Storm Gaming, he is Silky.
You know, Scarlett's the only remaining non-US player in this entire event.
Yeah, because US #1.
That's right, hooray! Anyway, interesting though that Canada often does have a lot of StarCraft talent in it. So I'm excited to see if there are any more Canadian players who can make a bit of a deeper run in this event next time for DreamHack Winter. Obviously, some big Canadian names dropping out in the early stages. Jason, NYK, Disc, Masa, all falling out earlier on. So be excited to see if some more Canadians can make their way across the challenge. But man, without sounding too jingoistic here, Zombie Grub, America has looked really good in this NA event.
Yeah, the players that are representing America have actually just gotten steadily better, whereas the players representing Canada have just gotten, I mean, worse is harsh, but yeah, kind of worse, or just stayed level while everyone else exceeded them might be the nicer way to put it. So sure. Masa, for instance, used to also be right up there with Scarlett, just holding the line there, holding the border against the Americans. But, you know, he has different things. His priority right now, we never quite got up back to that DreamHack Austin run he made like 5 or 6 years ago at this point. Right. So there's that, and then Estrella just, you know, suddenly exploding onto the scene is a really big, nice, I guess, talent acquisition. There you go for America.
Sure.
But,
sure.
And then No Regret doesn't really manage to make it through the qualifiers. So yeah, I mean, Scarlett, Disc is very good. I can see him also coming up here and defending against the likes of Future and Silky, but
right.
It's hard. It's actually just kind of Scarlett nowadays. Which, by the way, Canada does pronounce Z too, apparently.
Oh, they do. That's true.
Yeah,
So I guess NA is fine. I can say Z or Z either way. I always say Z for the EU matches just to make my European viewers happy, but I never thought of Canada as well. Nice.
What next? Are you gonna say that soccer is a fun sport to watch?
Oh God forbid, never.
Okay, good. As long as you don't.
We're in the North American region. I have to talk about how great ice hockey is.
Just because there's one Canadian. I mean, calm down there.
Honestly, any sport where I can buy a giant beer and watch big men running into each other, I'm pretty happy with that, Zombie Grub. That's sports for me.
That's your thing? Gotcha. All right, well, a bit more of a standard ZVZ here. Scarlett did take a chance by just skipping over that Baneley nest in the last game, and it worked out really well. I mean, she was faster the +1. It also was able to go for the Muta thing and max up very quickly on the roaches. That was a nice start for her. And Silky might try and be like, well, maybe I should punish it next time. Because I think all you do is to actually kind of start to punish it is make a decent amount of lings with 1 or 2 Banelings. And that would therefore, it's the testing phase of ZVZ actually a lot of the time. So if Scarlett wasn't making a Baneling nest, even this small test could be actually really difficult for her. But she is making a Baneling nest. So while Silky makes a decent number of lings, about 20, maybe even more. He's actually getting a little bit serious about this.
Ooh.
Scarlett should have the means to defend.
This looks like the 30 drone all in that I've seen a couple times before. Zerg players stop building drones at about 30 here and just make nothing but Lings and Banes for the rest of the game. It's entirely possible for Silky to go all in on the back of this. If he continues to make nothing but Lings here, Scarlett better sniff this out very quickly, or there's going to be a lot of pressure on her third base. Already, 6 more Banelings in production, going to be added onto the 1 already, so 7 Banelings out for Silky, and holy smokes, a bunch more coming down now as well, CG.
Yeah, you don't usually see this type of aggression in ZDZ anymore, but Silky thinks he's got a chance here. He's going to split those Banelings at the very last second. Nicely done. Did not trade out unfavorably, and that is actually the Banelings headed towards the natural base. Scarlett going to split the last second as well to save her drones this time. And that is going to be not too bad. I think 4 went down in total as the last Baneling pops off. But Silky's not done yet. Scarlett actually manages to fit in +1 melee alongside this layer, which really should punish her in some way, but only if the Banelings don't go her fast. Oh, well, that was actually a pretty okay trade, but oh, jeez, Louise, Silky is going to be looking for a bit more. Pops off that last Baneling, and Scarlett might just be out of luck. Where are her Banelings? She's got any more.
Yeah, really out of Banelings. I will say some terrible detonations, though, from Silky, where I think some of those were manual Baneling detonations where they just didn't hit their target at all that first round of 4 that went down. So Scarlett's able to defend against that fairly easily. And as we said, Silky's going to stop at 30 drones. So even though Scarlett has lost 10 drones this game, she is still 8 drones ahead. And now all she has to do is make Lings and Banes, hope the +1 melee finishes soon. And once it does, she'll be home free, even go Inspire behind this CG. As long as she defends, she's golden.
Yeah, that's going to be, I mean, it's already pretty much going to be game if he can't do more damage, but Silky, once he gets Spite of Mute, is going to really, that's what ends the tap out there. So close to actually getting the overwhelming numbers, but as the 3rd, 4th attack comes in, it's actually going a bit better for Scarlett. Still has all the queens alive, too. And Silky's aggression is just simply not working. It's too bad. He was so close to, like, if it wasn't that awkward larva delay, and there was more Lings helping when Scarlett had no Banelings left over, she loses 4 queens. Suddenly they can't help snipe the Banelings. The next attack was a little bit better, but Silky just barely didn't have enough, despite taking out all of Scarlett's Banelings, and I don't think further aggression is actually going to work. But he has no other choice. He can't follow this up against Aspire.
Yeah, you can't just keep trying drone behind this and come out. Now, as nice catch actually on Scarlett's Queens there. Scarlett's Queens have been essential in this defense. They've been focus firing down those Banelings so well, transfusing each other, keeping each other alive, and really just running defense for the entire organization. Scarlett even getting a counter punch down now. The 3rd base of Silky looks like it's under duress, and oh man, Scarlett able to defend and attack at the same time while she's getting a Spire up. Just absolutely gorgeous play here from our Canadian Zerg player.
Yeah, not even letting these Banelings trade efficiently. She is going to keep many Banelings alive, many, and take care of these Lings as well. Silky, I think he knows the time is almost up, but he's got to just keep chucking along here. More Banelings, more Lings. It's still not cracking Scarlett's defenses. One single Muta might cause her tap out.
It definitely might. And there it is. GG, even before the Muta hits, Scarlett from Canada grabs game number 2 here. Another 2-0 start. These players must be feeling like it's late in the day, trying to get these matches done more and more quickly as the day progresses, Zombie Grub.
It might just be their goal. We'll see how game number 3 goes. Is it long? Is it quick? Can Silky actually bring it back? We gotta wait to find out because we're going to a break.
Hello and welcome back to DreamHack Fall Masters 2020. I'm Creighton Olsen and I'm joined by Zombie Grub. Zombie Grub, we've got a ZVZ here. Does that work since she's Canadian? A ZVZ here to finish things off. Right now, Scarlett up 2-0. Zombie Grub, have you been surprised at all that Scarlett's taken such a commanding lead?
Not too surprised. I did say that I think she's going to be better in tournaments. Maybe on ladder it could be a different story. Best of one could be a different story. But in tournaments, She knows how to win. That's for sure. And yeah, she's currently winning. I love that we don't need interviews for these guys because they both just talk up a storm in between games. And they're even discussing the first game. So Silky did actually think that Scarlett was going to go to Mass Muta because his Chinese counterpart, the Silky of the China region, does the Mass Muta follow-up a lot. And then they made a joke about Europeans hating on the +1 Mass Muta. That is to say the +1 missile into Mass Muta. And now they're doing it. So I love reading their chat. It was fascinating to read. But yeah, Silky getting surprised in the first game. Second game tries to really make it a quick and easy game for himself. Ends up losing that one as well. And now sits down 0-2. In the top left, can he bring it back? He is Silky.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand side in the blue, representing Brave Star Gaming in Canada, it is Scarlett.
He also mentioned that he got supply blocked just before he was going to make his Hydras and Lurkers, so that's another reason why he was just a bit late to the defense at the fourth. And, you know, it really is sucked because you're kind of, even though the last game was also a loss for him, you're kind of thinking back to the very first game, the game that kind of set the tone and how frustrating that loss was. Because you're like, well, I thought it was going to be different, and also I got supply blocked, and just like mistakes that you wouldn't usually make end up kind of now in hindsight looking like the start of it all, the start of the downfall as you sit on your last life. So very frustrating for Silky. And can he actually bring it back against Scarlett? With that mentality, with that like, oh shucks, I don't know if I can do this. It's gonna be tough.
That's a very folksy imitation of Silky. I don't know that I've ever heard him say, ah, shucks before in my life. But I like that analogy you used, sort of Silky on his last life here, you know, getting seeded into the bottom, the losers round, because he got 3rd or 4th place in the group stages. Getting seeded into the losers round is just a tough place to start with anyway. And even with a really solid 3-0 win against Azuna, this lower bracket is just not an easy place to be psychologically for any player, knowing that you're always one series away from getting knocked out completely. So the pressure is certainly mounting for both these players. I think Scarlett a little more surprised than disappointed to be in the lower bracket, but Silky has been here the whole time, and I wonder if the pressure is starting to add up just a little bit.
I'm a bit worried. I'm gonna see what happens here. You know, the thing is, if he won that last game, it's seen as a genius move. He immediately gets his momentum back, and everything's like hunky-dory to be more folky. All right, but he did it. Scarlett was able to defend. It got a little bit scary when she was lacking banelings, but queens are pretty good units after all. And
right.
Yeah, she's up winning game number 2. And now she's going to mix it up once again. I mean, last game she was headed towards a +1 melee, right in Aspire, and still was able to do it despite all that pressure. This game going into a fast +1 Carapace, a bit older build that we don't see as much, and one that can be difficult to scout since the Ling is not supposed to get into the main base.
I love you using that very cautious caster language there, Zombie Grub. Not supposed to get into the main base, but Silky's actually done a really nice job slipping Lings into the main base little by little in this series. Has really done a great job scouting out. Wow, Scarlett really wants that Overlord. Silky, I think, oh my god, is she going to chase this all the way down? Are you kidding me right now? The Link's going to try and slip in here. It looks like the Overlord is going to eat one more shot, but because that Queen is out of the way, as you said, the Link's going to sneak in, and we'll get the full scout there, seize that Evolution Chamber, blorching away in the main base. Is it worth it for Scarlett to pick off that one Overlord, to lose the scouting, the secrecy of the scout from Silky?
I mean, I don't know. She got to realize that was a potential, right? Because people, I mean, generally you're going to send 2 Lings across the map to check for a multitude of things, but yeah, I mean, getting over it always feels nice. So, I mean, Silky would have already known something was a little bit off for the lack of 3rd hatchery, although she actually takes it in the other position, so his Overlord would not have been in position. I guess that's what she was ultimately trying to hide it from. She was trying to make it so the 3rd hatch being off time was not scouted, and, well, got the actual build itself scouted, so no question marks from Silky, no, like, okay, what's going on here? He knows exactly what's going on. Does lose another Overlord, which stings, but seeing that Evolution Chamber that early in the back there, usually almost always that +1 carapace. So what's his response from there? Yeah, actually continued scouting, I guess. More droning. And getting unsupply blocked first and foremost.
Well, he does manage to pop that one more Ling into the main base and sees the lair tech timing, knows now that Scarlett's going for some sort of roach timing, possibly even speed roach timing with that +1 missile attack on the way from Scarlett. Now, +1 carapace out from Silky is just going to draw him even right now as compared to actually getting him a little bit ahead of Scarlett. So I like Scarlett's position right now. If she can keep these upgrades solid, not invest too much in the Lings here, and not get overrun by Lings and Banes from Silky, she should be in a really solid position to get some speed roaches out here very quickly.
It does feel like it's already favoring Scarlett despite being scouted. I mean, she actually gets some damage on Silky's side of the map. After supply blocking him, didn't quite have enough to actually stop the Lings from attaching onto those drones, and is now in an awkward position economically. But only down 3 drones isn't terrible, and he's actually going to be the one to start applying pressure. Scarlett is going to eventually build up a lot of roaches and have her own Lings with an upgrade, of course, but it's not happening quite yet. Silky is trying to get to +1. No, actually changes it. He went for the melee initially, decided no, it's not going to work out, goes for the missile. Looking to even up the upgrades, but because of that mistake or second guessing, he actually won't have even upgrades. He might have if he had continued on or started +1 missile first and foremost. And now I'm just worried, is he going to have enough roaches when Scarlett does push?
Yeah, there's going to be a really delicious timing here for Scarlett where she'll be able to hit at +1/+1, where Silky will just have that carapace upgrade. And of course, +1 missile attack is a huge upgrade for those roaches, especially in a roach versus roach war. Right now, though, Silky I'm really concerned for Silky because he doesn't have a lot of roaches on the map. And when I say he doesn't have a lot of roaches, Zombie Grub, do you know how many roaches Silky currently has?
None.
That's the correct answer. Not a single roach out yet for Silky, finally grabbing 8 more, but Scarlett is going to be ready for a push any minute now, and if she really wants to get across the map and do damage, she definitely could. I wonder if she's going to stay back home and try and macro a little bit more, though.
I feel like yeah, it might be the case. I mean, hitting with 1-1 could have been really powerful, perhaps thinking that it was a little bit too scouted, that these Lings taking a bit too much time to actually clean up. She is still going to build nothing but roaches at 68 workers and a 4th base on the way. She's kind of set on the economy regardless, so roach. But Silky is maybe even going to be able to get his own +1 missile, which that was going to be suspect for me. Like, he's going to have those equal upgrades. He might just be able to. A couple spine crawlers on the way as well. Farron's advantage would really have to kick in here for Silky. It's currently 18 roaches to 21, but that's actually plenty for the Farron's advantage to push back. I think Silky's going to be all right.
Yeah, especially with those queens there for the transfuses. And as you said, those spine crawlers coming down. So Silky should be in pretty decent shape here. Oh, there's a Dropper Lord on the way from Scarlett. I'm so excited to see what she does with that Dropper Lord. I'm not actually sure where it is, but she has done some Dropper Lord play in the group stages. I don't know if you got to see those matches, but she was able to drop roaches into the main base of, oh man, who was she playing? You know, I can't remember. But she had some really nice Dropper Lord play in the group stages as well that was surprising and pleasant. So I really hope we do see it again sometime. That'd be super cool.
Well, it's already started. Silky technically saw it. He's not moving anything to the main base, though, so I don't know if he saw it. Economy's currently even, but Silky is still behind about 30 army supplies. Scarlett has finally gotten to maxing out, also building up that Ravager count, looking actually much more ferocious than the previous engagement. I don't know if Silky's going to be able to take this one, especially can't micro too well. His roach speed still isn't done.
Oof. That's a big oof from me, bros, because if you have no roach speed against fast roaches, it just becomes so impossibly difficult to try and manage this. I mean, look at this. Scarlett's able to chase down the retreating roaches on the left flank, or the right flank rather, while also defending on the right flank as well, bopping back and forth with those roaches with speed, just doing such a nice job, and even caused this consternation in the main base, getting 2 queen kills for the cost of almost nothing, and picking off a 4th base. Scarlett in complete control of this game again.
Silky just wasn't prepared for the true power of the push. Scarlett was kind of setting up, maybe showed like, oh, I'm going to attack you. Wasn't actually the real attack. Then suddenly was up 30 supply, still up 30 supply, and about to have an upgrade lead for a good 30 seconds. It's now kicking in as Silky takes the last desperate attempt here to just move on top of her Ravagers. Doesn't really work out. There's still too much Scarlett left over. Silky does have a little bit of a run by, but is it going to do equalizing amount of damage?
The short answer is no. And the long answer is no, GG. Scarlett is going to grab this series 3-0.